Growing up in Cambodian community in Wellington was a struggle. Every man, husband or brother is a taxi driver. Seriously, it felt like everyone knew my family, and everywhere we went there was someone who knew about your business. The Chhim family, successful, focused and hardworking. Lynn, my mum, a generous person, loves her family, heavily involved with the local Buddhist monks, doesn't drink alcohol and never tried smoking. Also known in the community for being very gat, which means very serious and proud. Song, my dad, a very hard worker, provides well for his family, man of few words, yet his presence never goes unknown. An all-round good guy, rewards himself with a generous Hennessy after a long day at the restaurant. The Chhim family were very reserved. They never like talking about themselves. They also miss out on most Cambodian social events because for them, they always are at work. They do it for the family, and family always comes first. They have very good children. Amup, that's me, is a very good girl, always helping her parents look after her younger brother and sister. Amup is very hardworking and will be successful and always acknowledges her elders, always greets Cambodians in the traditional way. You'll definitely hear about it if you didn't. Going to the temple would stress her out. The monks admired her. They always wanted to talk to her, ask her about her studies and how her parents are. My name is Sokvuch. It means Friday moon. My friends know me as Linda. My Cambodian nickname is Amup. I identify myself as a Kiwi, but I can always tell that isn't the answer people are wanting to hear. I always struggle to answer, where are you from? Because I was born in a refugee camp in Thailand. I have no memories of being in Thailand because when we left, I was only 6 months old. I grew up believing my parents found me in a rubbish dump. I remember Dad telling me stories as a kid. This would upset me every time. My first trip to Cambodia wasn't until I was 22, so I could never identify myself as Cambodian. I would always reply, my parents are from Cambodia. My parents never talked about what they went through or where they came from until in my early 20s when I started asking more questions because I was getting asked more questions. They wanted to forget Cambodia. They had lost their families in front of their eyes. They made it hard to relate to where I was supposed to have come from, even more as a child. Sometimes I can't be bothered going through the refugee story, so I say I was born in New Zealand, and usually I get a response, your English is really good. I always had a complex of being Asian. Growing up with kids calling me Chingy, I didn't think my eyes were that slitty. Remembering that time in intermediate while playing volleyball, the PE teacher shouted out, can't you jump, China doll? Are you worried about your delicate porcelain hands? All kids would tease me, Ching Chong, Chinaman, why don't you go back to your own country? I didn't even know where that was, China. As far as I was concerned, I was from New Zealand. I can see why my mum felt the need to change my name when I was 5. Mum knew that people wouldn't pronounce my name properly and wanted to protect me, so that's when I became Linda. Only child, a quiet kid. Mum told me that we lived in the camp. Mum told me when we lived in the camp, no one knew she had a baby because I was so good and quiet. I didn't try to stand out. I was a healthy baby in size, why my nickname is Amup. In English, Mup translates into fat. Cambodian kids call me Muppy, which means fatty. It never bothered me until later on in primary school when I realised what it meant. I loved school. For me, it was fun because I got to be social and be free. Being at home, on the other hand, it was quiet. So many chores. Mum made sure I did it all. Clothes needed to be hung a certain way. I used to have a stool I would use to reach the clothesline. Dishes would need to be washed in a certain order. Glasses, cutlery, plates, pots. When they need to be rinsed, washed, then rinsed again. Kitchen benches needed to be all wiped down and the kitchen floor swept clean. I remember a few times when Mum literally dragged me out of bed to redo the dishes because I didn't do a good enough job. I ironed all of Dad's work shirts, so many work shirts. He worked 7 days a week, meaning at least 7 shirts to iron, starting off the collar, cuffs, sleeves, then moving on to the sides and the back of the shirt. All in that order. these had to be perfect because it was for my dad. I had to do all the chores before I was allowed to play with the other kids. Even if guests arrived, I had to finish the job properly, no excuses. Mum always said no when I asked to go to friends' houses. They were only allowed around to ours, which wasn't very often. I was the only child to the age of 12 and used to sing and dance alone in front of the windows at home, play with my reflection and talk to my cat. Her name was Meow. I never was allowed to leave a grain of rice on my plate. Dad always reminded me that once we had no food. People used to ask me, "What's your dad's name?" And I would say, "Song." Kids would laugh and say, like, "Sing a song." And I used to feel upset when kids would laugh at my dad's name. He was my hero, the good cop. I was the apple of my dad's eye, always defending me when Mum would nag. He was never home for dinners because he was working at the restaurant and keeping us, and always asleep when I woke up. Or he had left already for a taxi shift. My favourite memories is when Dad would pick me up from school. This would be the highlight and would only happen once a week. He would take me to McDonald's between his day and night shifts, and I would always anticipate the Happy Meal, the toy, the chocolate sundae, and the fact that I got to hang out with my dad one-on-one. I never understood why Mum was so serious. She was reactive, controlled, and independent. I don't remember hearing my mum asking for help or seeing her sad. I always got excited when I was allowed to go out with my friends, and then Mum would always pull me aside. Gone, meaning child, remember, you are always being watched and that you are Cambodian. Dad had set the bar pretty high for being the best dad. Strong, successful, modest, a good provider, a family man, sincere and very giving. Even at the poorest times, Dad managed to hawk some gold to gift to Mum. Dad came from a family of 8 and Mum a family of 10. I will never get to meet my grandparents. The Khmer Rouge killed them all. Mum had no one except for Dad. She had lost her only surviving brother during the war. Mum admired her dad, who was a doctor. She never understood why he left her mother and remarried. My grandmother committed suicide when she was 16. The memories of Cambodia are unhappy ones, living on the run, being beaten up, being hungry, and being alone. When my parents were on the run, they found my dad's great aunts on the way. They treated my mum like a servant, giving her endless chores to do and constant harassment, always whispering in Dad's ear not to trust her. Mum was really sick with morning sickness, and the aunts believed that she was just trying to get out of her chores. One day, when Dad had left my mum alone, they got a doctor to come over who gave her an injection in her stomach that was supposed to make her feel better. Since they were her elders, she felt like she had to do what she was told. She felt an overwhelming hot flush from head to toe, and she was saddened because she thought she had lost me. It wasn't until recently these stories started to get told. I grew up thinking we had nothing in common. All I remember was Mum being bad cop, always saying no, always complaining, and always picking on me. I never asked for anything because I didn't know how. I never really wanted to help my mum cook. She was just too fussy. Mum would always say, "You never want to help." If I could, I would always help my mum. Cooking with Mum was peeling onions and garlics and all the boring jobs. Cambodian food never excited me when I was growing up. I watched Mum use prahok, which is fermented fish paste, for seasoning soups. It smells and looks terrible. I thought I could never bring my Kiwi friends home. They would think Cambodian food was weird and that I was weird. Food time was family time, whether it was just us or when friends come over. Cambodian food generally consists of a broth soup, a stir fry, some rice, and on some special occasions, dessert. The food was always shared. Mum could never sit still during meals, always topping up food, and she would start cleaning the kitchen. As long as we were happy and satisfied, her job was done. Strangely, I text Mum for these recipes almost weekly from memories and cravings I didn't know that I had. It makes us closer. We now have something in common. I never really asked for advice when I was younger. I absolutely love cooking now and hosting meals with my closest friends. Strangely enough, my parents are surprised I can even cook and that I'm actually kind of good at it. Well, I've been told I am. So many tears growing up, I found it really hard to understand who I was supposed to be, who Mum wanted me to be, and who my friends thought I was. Constantly having a tug of war with Mum and not wanting to disappoint Dad. Mum never told me when I was right, and I only knew when I was wrong. I kept both lives separate. I grew up having to figure things out for myself, how to please my parents and how to please everyone else. If everyone else was happy, I was happy. I realised more and more that Mum had to be the bad cop. She was the glue that held our family together. Mum is generous, not with praises, but with patience, the privacy of not asking but having confidence in you, being generous with tough love and being generous with knowing her sense of purpose. She had a tough life, but you never heard about it. So guess what, Sockfooch? Mum was just doing the best she could with what she had been through. There's no right way. You don't have to be perfect. Be more open. Your parents love you no matter what. Be thankful. There is always a way. Make shit happen. Being patient, be loyal, and life is short. Just remember, Sockfooch, these are all the things that Mum taught me.